Hello and welcome to the Runners World podcast with me, Rick Pearson.
And me, Ben Hobson.
Today we're speaking with Kilian Jornet about all things mountain running.
Lucky old you, talking to the goat.
Yeah, it is. I'm a little awe-inspired. You can tell, actually, from the recording.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I'm a little nervous.
You didn't keep your cool?
There's a few people in running who I really lose my cool with in a kind of fanboy way. And Kilian is top of the list.
Totally
there.
allowed. 100% allowed.
I met him once.
It'd be weird if you weren't slightly awed by him. Like,
I know what you mean. You've been in this game too long, haven't you?
I think if you're jaded to the point where you meet Kilian or like a Kipchoge or whatever and you go, oh, hello.
Yeah, it's that guy who ran up Everest twice in a week. Yeah, you're right. He's a very nice guy. And it's quite a hard brief when you like talk to Kilian Jornet for half an hour, because I was like, well, we could talk about...
God, where'd you start almost? In any, like...
Yeah, exactly. So I've tried to come through like a broad base of stuff, a bit about training, a bit about his philosophy. Obviously, probably ran out of time. I'm sure like you could talk to Kilian all day and learn things. But hopefully, I asked a few questions that listeners would have asked as well.
Oh, that's good. Well done you. And you weren't here for my chat with Ralph Street in the previous episode. If people haven't listened to that, a guide to orienteering. Orienteering's wild. I have no idea.
Hit me with a little bit of...
Well, they're just really fast to start with.
Yeah. It's not walking around, is it? No.
It's just, that whatever people's opinion of orienteering, probably based from a school like the Prince's Trust or like, that sort of like, hey, these guys are absolutely rapid. And they're like doing these like, map reading at high intensity. It's a proper little niche world of running. But like Megan Keith the other day, who's just qualified orienteering back in a junior champion or something.
She's got into the 10,000 meters, isn't she? So
there's this, it's orienteering is doing quite a lot of legwork in the background.
Very good. I think and actually has like, it's very, very applicable if you're getting into like mountain or trail running, right?
Yeah.
Like you actually like, and it's a bit like, we've got phones now, we don't need to run, but like honestly, like there are parts of like even the Lake District where having a phone isn't necessarily gonna help you. So
anyway, so that was last. So if you haven't listened to that episode, listen to this one first.
Yeah, of course.
And then just delve back into the archives.
Hey, I was took part in the inaugural UK Ekiden yesterday.
I did see and heard that this was, well, I knew it was happening. So for those who don't know, what is an Ekiden and why is this the first time it's ever happened in the UK?
So so an Ekiden is a long distance relay, popular in Japan.
Hugely popular.
Hugely popular. I think it's on TV and stuff.
Yeah, it's their that's their running.
Yeah, exactly. And for us it was teams of 10 covering 72 miles between Oxford and Windsor on the Thames Path. Ooh. Sounds easier than it is, actually. The Thames Path is a little bit more tricky than it's not like keep the river on your right and you can't get lost. It's not actually quite as simple as that. But the reason it's come to UK is it's the 100th anniversary of the Hakone Ekiden, which is one of the major Ekidens in Japan. We had a team of 10. We were kind of Runners World and Jet, who were kind of
former gladiator.
She ran 5 legs. No, who are kind of a company, I believe.
Fuel, is that like?
No, wasn't it? I don't think
not
it was
those
Fuel,
the old Jet petrol stations.
No, I should have done more research in, but they were a lovely bunch of people. And they did a lot of the organisation for us.
There was like, how many teams? Like 16 teams or something?
16 teams. Shout out to Oxford University, who fielded a very strong team and won very easily. Cambridge did well as well, and Birmingham Uni. So they were the top 3. They were the kind of like racing teams. And there was a couple of, I think Mizuno put a good team in as well. And then there were kind of more casual teams like ourselves taking part. But it was nice, actually. I think it was very, very warm. Yeah. It's probably 26, 27 degrees, which when you're not used to running in that is actually...
Relays are tricky as well from just the general logistics point of view,
For sure,
they?
yeah.
Like you're talking... It's not like a race that... Well, I suppose races have aid stations throughout, but every single leg being like that sort of facilities.
And it can be a bit lonely as well, because I think it'll be bigger next year, but you can find yourself just running on your own.
Yeah,
you sort of like have to remind yourself you're part of something bigger. You're not just like
it's not out for an amble,
trotting around on the Thames Path. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think there's a few, like anything, like the first year, a few sort of teething issues to sort out. I think water needs to be on the course really somewhere. But I wouldn't be surprised if you get a lot of good teams actually fancying it, because it is quite a quick route potentially.
Well, looking at the Oxford Uni times, they were doing. I think their average speed for like the whole thing was I think 347 minute kilometers.
Pretty good.
Yeah, like the whole scope of the thing, and I feel like clubs would probably start really getting into it.
Totally. Yeah, you can see it becoming like Yeah, like like clubs like Highgate or like all the kind of big London clubs. I could easily sort of start doing it.
Getting
So
the
actually,
taste
where
for
we
it.
finished ninth, and I think that was
Oh.
in years to come. That will sound really good.
Bravo.
Finished top 10 in UK Ekiden. Don't you know?
Out of no,
It doesn't matter.
matter.
Doesn't matter. I think we were technically. It's one of the interesting things about Ekiden is the cut-offs are really quite tight
Oh, between legs.
between legs, and I think because they don't want things to go on too long. So we actually missed a cut-off relatively early on. One of our runners just got lost, and then we were back within the cut-off after about 2 legs. So we did finish, but I'm not sure we actually got an official.
Oh, so because you missed the cut off at one station, you might have just basically not officially finished.
Yeah, I don't exactly know how it works, but there you go. It was great anyway.
It was fun.
It was fun anyway.
We did some fun stuff.
It was fun anyway. Hey, look, I was chatting to my good friend Kilian Jornet. We're pals.
Oh, you and your best buddy.
And here's what he's got to say about the joys of running in the mountains.
Let's do it.
Guest of the week, here in the studio. Guest of the week, sometimes on the phone. Could be an athlete, could be a physio, or a complete unknown.
Thanks so much for coming on the Runners World podcast. Massive pleasure and honour to have you on. I just thought we could start with just telling us. I mean, you said you're doing a race tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah, we are going to a small race here in Norway, in the middle of Norway, in Besegen it's called. It's a very old race. I think it has been here for more than 40 years. But it's a 14-kilometer race, so pretty short and intense.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's one of the things about you, that you can actually win the long stuff and the short stuff as well. I guess there are some people who really specialise just in maybe going 100 miles plus, but for you, it seems like you actually really like to mix up the distances a bit. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think for me, what I like about running and especially mountain running, is that it's not about the distance, it's about what the mountain offers. So if sometimes it's logical to do something long because you run around a mountain or around the lake or around something that it has a long distance or A to B, and sometimes it's you just need to run up to a summit and down, and that's very short. So it's not about the distance, but about what every place it has to offer, and sometimes it's long, sometimes it's short, and then in terms of athleticism, it's fun to explore the different capacities that you need to develop for running long or running short.
For sure, yeah. I mean, how does running in Norway compare to, say, running in the Pyrenees or the Alps?
Well, I would say the biggest difference here is the terrain, that it's much more slower because it's very wet in the mountains, so it's very soft. So it feels a bit even in summer when you are running, it's a lot of off trail and very soft terrain, so it's kind of a bit like running in the sand or in the snow, even if you are running in the grass. So normally when you are training here, you are my pace is always low, and you feel I'm not in good shape at all. And then when you go to the Alps or nice trails, it feels much easier to keep a good pace.
Have you been at all tempted to come back and race in the UK? I guess that the last time we had you ran that incredible Bob Graham round time, but is it on your radar to come back at all?
I love the UK for running, and all the culture on fell running and all the it's where our sport, trail running, whatever it's called now, it's it's coming from the UK, from the fell running. So it's a place where always you feel a part of the history of that, and it's many nice races that I would love to do there.
Well, you're welcome back anytime, Kilian. You've got an open invite to come to the UK and run, I'm sure. So, can we talk a little bit about the environment? Because I know how important it is to you. I know how kind of eco-conscious you are, and I'm wondering how does that kind of impact some of your decisions, maybe around racing or the kit that you wear as well?
Yeah, mostly about racing and about selecting the races to do, because our impact, the biggest part of our impact, it comes from traveling to the places, and that comes first. I would say to try to not do travels only for to do a training camp in an exotic island, or like to do just like to also a lot on like when it comes to do speeches or to do conferences. Like sometimes like you can get a lot of money and for appearance on a talk that it's for 1 hour, but you need to take 2 planes to go there, and it don't make sense like at then. And then in races, I would say I it's maybe 2-3 races or projects in the year that I feel that they are big and that I feel okay to travel for that. But the rest of the races, like to do a big race or to do preparatory races, for those I want to do it around home. So like this weekend that we are like just outside of home to the race, and that's like everywhere in the world. It's plenty of races locally. So I think it feels okay for me as a pro athlete to travel for a big race, and that can be a couple of times the year, but the rest to try to do it locally. And then when it comes to the equipment, I think it's mostly like working with the brands, like to try to develop equipment that it's more durable or sustainable. But also it comes a lot on the promotion side, like to try to not change kit like every few months. So like you are promoting that you need to change your kit even if it's not worn, just because it's new colors or whatever. I think it's mostly in the marketing place where athletes we have a power on that to not push on changing products before they are used.
Yeah, I think that's definitely right. You mentioned in the past that when you race, you like to use all your senses, and like sight and sound, smell, touch, maybe even taste. How does that approach help, do you think, when you're racing, to really like immerse yourself like that?
I would say like if we like to be in the mountains and run, or like I would mean like every outdoor activity, then it's like one part it's the sport side, like to try to perform, to try to push, to compete, whatever is like the goal of like get healthy. But another big part is just to be connected with the nature, or like to be then is to feel part of it, like to feel part of the environment, that we are connected with all the other animals and plants, and the texture of the landscape and the rocks and that. So like how do we feel that? I would say it's about it's to use all our senses, like the smell, like in the autumn, like we have very strong smells, especially in the forest, for example, or like the touch, like when we are running, to feel like the touch of the rocks, or of the terrain with our feet through the shoes, with the hands, the wind in the skin, the sounds of the wind, of the animals, of the rocks, of the water. So I would say like it's through those senses that we feel this connection with nature.
You've done a lot of videos in the past, Kilian, of like you doing these amazing runs, and often it looks like there's an element of danger to it. It'd be the kind of path that if I was on it, I'd probably start worrying that I was going to fall off. But has your attitude to the kind of risk, the inherent risk of mountain running, has that changed a little bit since becoming a dad, or do you think it's just part and parcel of running in the mountains?
I had this question, and I was very like, I didn't know what would happen when our first kid was born, because like you cannot like predict emotions. And actually, like I think that I has been always very analytic on how I approach like decisions in the mountains and the risks. So like trying to analyze like what are my capacities, and what are what is the mountain like requirements to do that activity, what are the conditions. So I have been always very analytic, and maybe that's why I haven't changed much, but my approach to the mountains it's been changing a lot through the years. I think when I was young, maybe I didn't know my capacities very well, so I was afraid on things. Like I didn't know if like I would be able to hang on like 2 centimeters like a rock thing, but I didn't. But then the nature like itself, like I was saying, okay, that's snow or rock or whatever. I didn't have much knowledge on that, so I wasn't afraid of this. And now it's probably the opposite. I know myself better on how to what are my capacities. But on the other way, like I'm much more afraid about what can happen, like if snow breaking or avalanches or like rocks falling from permafrost or whatever. So I would say I'm doing activities that maybe they are a bit more risky on the technical side, because I believe I can push further on my technical and physical and psychological capacities than before. But on the other way, I take much less risk when it comes to avoiding like natural phenomena or like the conditions. Yeah.
And you've always seemed to have favoured a kind of a quite minimalist approach when it comes to kit and nutrition. Do you think that maybe the more you know, the more knowledge you have, maybe the less that you need to carry? And what do you think of sort of the essential bits of kit that you need when you're kind of running in the mountains?
Yeah, I think it's coming from deconstruction. Like I started doing mountaineering in a very classic way, like with my parents. Like we were going like with very heavy backpacks, with very big boots, and just like taking a lot of time and doing the ways that way. And I think if you want to do things differently, if you want to change the rules somehow, you need to first have a deeply understanding of the rules, and from there you can break them, but not the other way around, I would say. Because if not, then you so I think it came from that. Like it was like more okay, I can climb this with all this equipment, and then it's like how can I if I take off this piece of gear, does that affect my safety, but also like my feeling with the mountain? Because on a way, like also the less things you have between you and the mountain, the more close you feel also. So the experience is also much more bigger. So I would say it's but you need to understand that every piece of equipment that you are taking away, it also involves that you need to escalate your knowledge and your capacities. And basically, I think the most important is to always put yourself in the worst possible situation. Like when I go to a mountain, it's not like if conditions are good and I feel good, do I have everything I need? No, but like if everything goes wrong, do I have everything I need?
Yeah.
And that's better. It's better safe to sorry in those situations.
This is the Runner's World podcast.
I think about your career, Kilian, and it's just exceptional. Like you've won everything, and you've been at the very top of the sport for 15, 20 years. In terms of like what motivates you today in 2024, like what's left out there for you to kind of to get you excited?
Like it's many things because even like if we take like let's take two very different examples and very extreme. Like one is like imagine to do like every day of your life a marathon. Okay, like you would say like you can always get motivated to do it faster, and then like you can also get motivated to do it like on like without any fueling, for example, or with a lot of fueling, or like changing your training, or like so you can always like find new ways to discover yourself. So it's kind of a self exploration, even if the goal it might seem exactly the same. And in another way, like imagine like climbing the same mountain every day in your life, but you can always find like different routes, or like one day maybe you climb like all the different routes to the summit, and another day maybe you climb a very difficult route, and another time like you climb in winter in different conditions. So like if you combine these two things, like the inner exploration and this outside exploration, it's like it's always things to do, even if you are like in the same places, same races or things.
Yeah.
And today I would say what motivates me is more on that. It's not like checking the list of like I want to do the race or I want to win the race, but it's more about like this inner and external exploration in the mountains and running, skiing, climbing. Yeah.
Do you have, when you look back at your many victories, is there one that stands out for you as like having the most significance or that makes you feel the most proud?
Like emotionally, always the first ones are much more bigger, because like the first time like I won Zagama or like I don't know, UTMB or like Pierramenta, it's always very special the first time you win something, because you don't know if you are capable of doing it, and it's always like very very special. And I think then like the emotion is decreasing on these things, and now like I would say like the last project I did in the Pyrenees, for example, it was like one of the hardest things I did, and like emotionally like it took me to a completely different place. So like at the end, like I think it's it's just to keep doing the same races. It's I think now it's nice because it's it's an easy way to keep motivated and to train hard, but kind of but yeah, it's not really like what I'm most proud. I think it's to be able to do different things, like to be able to run like a long race, a short race, do a nice ski project, a nice project in the mountains. So not really like to be able to move in the mountains, kind of no matter like what's in front. Yeah.
Obviously, trail running is getting bigger and bigger, which is great. But probably with that, it's becoming maybe slightly more corporate, or there's kind of more big business kind of moving into that space. Do you worry in any way that the kind of soul of trail or mountain running is under threat?
Like yes and no. Like I think the community is very strong, and I think it has a lot of pride in the values. So it's kind of self-protecting also that, and when things are concerning, like it's the community is always like talking about, and like and so far like all the different parts, they we talk to each other, and if we disagree on things, that happens like everywhere. Like it's always conversations, and it's always like you will have races like in UK, that most of the races are like a 8 pounds or like 10 pounds registration. You don't have any marking, you go run up and down, and then like you have a beer, you go home. Like it's not anything else, and that's fine. And because some people would like that, and some other people wants to go to a race which is like this strong music, and like and live streamings, and a lot of like hype around. And I think like it's okay that we have different like ambiences, and we have different like feelings when we are going to races. If I think if we don't lose this respect to the environment, to the nature that we are passing when we are doing a race, and somehow also the respect of the sport, as I mentioned at the beginning. It's not about like you are running 50 miles or 100 miles with this much elevation, but it's about like finding a logical way to explore the surroundings on the place you are racing. And I think that's something that so far we are I think we are keeping as a all the different parts of the industry. But of course it's we need to always keep our standards high, I think, because it's if not, like it's very easy to don't care, and then very fast like it can become some other thing that it's not trail running anymore.
Yeah, I think it's a balance, isn't it? You've always seemed to bring like a lot of joy to your running and racing, and obviously like the mountains are something that you're very passionate about. How important do you think it is for every runner to really try and think about like the enjoyment of what they're doing as well as the kind of results?
Well, I think, especially in the long term, it's what makes you do it. Like the first thing, like if you want to perform, is continuity, is to be able to train day after day, week after week, year after year. That's much more important than to do a hard workout, or much important than anything else is the continuity. And to be able to do it, you need to enjoy it. Like if you have a passion on it, like it will always feel somehow easy to get out and to train. Like if you need to work to find the motivation, like sometimes it can happen for short periods, but if you are like always trying to find motivation to do something, like maybe it's that you are not really liking it and you need to find something else, and because if not, it will be very hard to be able to perform, or just not to perform, I mean, as having big results, but just to enjoy it. Like we have one life, and I believe that it's one part. It's important to be happy with what we do.
Yeah, I totally agree. In terms of your running plans for this year, Kilian, what I mean, have you outlined a couple of big things that you're looking to race, or other challenges?
Yeah, in the racing, like I was doing Zegama. It's a marathon in the Basque Country. That was one of the goals of the season. The other one in competition is to do Sjoerdinal. That's a 32K race in Switzerland in the month of August.
Yeah.
And then I want to do a long project, a bit similar, like trying to find something that it challenged me as the Pyrenees 3,000 meter link up I did last year. And I have different options on that, and now it's more about the conditions. So like depending how the summer evolves and conditions are in different places in Europe, I will decide like last moment. Okay, it looks like conditions are okay for that, but kind of on the same spirit of like trying to do something pretty long and challenging, like both technically and physically.
When you're coming up with these ideas for like the Pyrenees Challenge, or even like the kind of Summits of My Life stuff that you did a while back, is that a really exciting process for you? Is it very much like you throw ideas out, and do you run them past anyone? Do you say to your wife, look, I'm thinking about doing this, what do you reckon? Yeah,
and like some take a lot of time. Like some ideas I had there like for 15 years already, and I have been looking every now and then like to trying to find like a route on that, and they can take a lot of time to process until like I can go and try, and some can be very fast. Like the Pyrenees, it was really like I started looking about that like 3 weeks before starting, just because I wanted to do something, and it took a very, very short time. But the preparation, I enjoyed a lot the preparation, like just to look at the maps, to see what like to start to imagine what would I experience, and I really enjoy that process, because it like you grow the excitement on that, and it's I think it's a big part of the process, and sometimes it's just to not want to know too much, to have a different experience. I think like depending the project, some projects you want to know as much as possible, and some projects you want to know as less as possible to have different kind of experiences.
Yeah.
But the process of like projecting yourself to do something, it's very fun, and always it happens the same. Like it's very easy to make plans on the map. Like you take Google Earth, you make a line there, and it looks super nice. And then when you go to the reality, it's like, wow, that look easier in the map than how it is.
In terms of just a few training questions, if that's all right. If it's probably hard to say what a typical week would look like for you in terms of running, but during the kind of the running season, what does it roughly look like for you?
Yeah, so I would say for me, like the season, it's pretty easy structured. Like I have the winter that mostly is like a lot of volumes. Like I can be doing 30 to 35 hours, 80% on a ski, 20% running.
Okay.
So it's long days, mostly zone 1 and 2, and some 1 day a week faster, but it's mostly like loads of volume.
Okay.
And then it's 8 weeks before like 8 weeks before a goal.
Yeah.
Then I have the specific period like that. Yeah, it's so 8 weeks before a project or before a race, I will start to do like a specific.
Okay.
And then it's mostly like 20 to 25 hours per week of running. And then it would involve like 2 days of like kind of 1 day of a long threshold
Okay. Yeah.
work. 1 day more of kind of a bit short threshold or speed. Then maybe another day like some tempo or some kind of simulations.
Okay.
And the rest is just like easy long runs, and that depends a bit more on the project if I do more like technical stuff or like more runnable stuff or that. But basically it's kind of simple. It's these things. And then adding like if I need to do some altitude or some heat training, I put it on that depending of the goal.
In terms of you're brilliant running uphill and downhill. I think running downhill is something that is probably an underestimated skill. Have you got any advice for someone who wants to become better at running quickly downhill?
Yeah, the first one would be move to the mountains. Like it's unfortunately it's not a lot of secrets on that because like you can build like muscles and on like dirt roads you can be running very fast. Like if you run fast on the flat, normally on dirt roads you will be able to run very fast.
Okay, yeah.
But if you want to run fast on technical terrain, it's not many secrets. It's more about like the neural connection between your eyes and your your muscles and your feet. So for that you need to practice and it's just to spend hours and to be able to I think to look far away like when you are running and remember all the terrain that you have between your eyes and your feet.
Yeah.
So you don't need to look at your feet when you're running. So it's you can do exercises when you are in the mountains, like of like for example like be running and then close the eyes for 3 seconds and you know what is in front. So like remembering that and these exercises can work, but most of the thing is just
it's practice.
It's practice and years of practice and then you get used to this the feet, the ankles and the ace. Yeah.
There's a rise of like these backyard ultras and stuff like the Barkley, and I don't sense that's kind of that you would want to go and do the Barkley or a backyard ultra, but is that right or wrong?
Yeah, it changed like every day. Like depends the day you ask me. Like I would say, I want to go tomorrow, or like I will never go there. Like like this year when I was like following the Barkley, it was like, oh, that looks so fun. I want to go there. Like it's asking like the mail to Gary or the guys that I know that they have been doing, so I can like register.
Yeah.
And then some other moments like, it's so stupid. Like why should I go there? Like to just be walking in a forest. Like it's not sense. So like on a way, like it's so stupid that it's intriguing. I would say. Yeah. So it's I wouldn't count me out knowing how I am.
Okay.
Like that sometimes I would say, okay, just do it. Yeah.
Well, watch your space, Kilian. Thanks so much for making the time to chat with me. It's always a complete pleasure to talk to you about trail and mountain running. So I really appreciate your giving up the time to talk with me.
No, that was nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and good luck on the race this weekend.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and hope to meet you sometime if I come up to race here in the UK.
So that brings us to the end of this week's Runners World podcast. A huge thanks to our extra special guest, Kilian Jornet, and to you, of course, for listening.
Please subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. And subscribe to the magazine if you'd like to too. Google Runners World UK subscription. Find it on the Hearst magazine's website. Get an introductory offer. Be very happy with your decision. And thank you for listening. You'll hear from us next week.